Step up and deliver the superior experience that today's consumers have come to expect. DealerTrack DMS gives you the tools to improve workflow efficiency, reduce in-dealership time, and put the focus on your customers so your sales team and your entire dealership shine.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. Today on the show, dealers are losing confidence in the future of the auto industry. China's EV industry invests more abroad than at home for the first time. And Teamsters picket in 3 states over non-union car carriers. Plus, NADA's Executive Vice President of Public Policy, Paul Metrey, joins the show to talk about issues affecting dealers, from artificial intelligence to environmental regulations.
We are pleased that efforts are being made to try to remove those unworkable standards, hopefully get us to a level that the market can absorb.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry. Franchise dealership executives have gloomier expectations for the broader automotive industry. That's according to the inaugural Automotive News Auto Industry Confidence Index. 56% of franchise dealership respondents said they're either somewhat or very pessimistic about the industry's overall health in the next 6 months. Dealership executives said they worry about tariff uncertainty, rising car prices, and higher interest rates that could turn away customers otherwise interested in buying. Last year, Chinese companies that have some stake in electric vehicles invested more overseas than in China for the first time. That's even though foreign projects faced higher cost, delays, and risk. According to a new report from research company Rhodium Group, companies in the supply chain invested around $16 billion overseas last year, mostly in battery production. That's compared to $15 billion spent at home. And Teamsters from 3 union locals have launched pickets outside of 3 General Motors plants. The pickets are targeting non-union car carriers at the plants, which the union says are bringing down wage and benefit standards for unionized workers. The GM plants are in Michigan, Kentucky, and Missouri. The Teamsters said the non-union operators aren't sticking to the wages and benefits agreed to by the union. A union statement did not identify the non-union carriers. In a statement, GM said, quote, "While we respect the right to peaceful demonstration, our top priority remains the safety and well-being of our employees. We are actively monitoring the situation." And those are today's headlines. You can find more details on all those stories at autonews.com. Joining me now to talk more about our Auto Industry Confidence Index results for franchise dealership executives is Mark Holmer, who covers retail technology for us at Automotive News. Mark, welcome back to Daily Drive.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, Mark, what are dealers saying is bothering them?
Their uncertainty. If you're going to break it down to one word, it's uncertainty. They're uncertain about tariffs. They're uncertain about the effects of tariffs 6 months from now. They're uncertain about high interest rates. They're uncertain about what the future will be until these things are more defined for their business plans.
So, what are the implications of dealer confidence going down?
The implications kind of head into multiple directions. So if you're a businessman or woman and you are uncertain about the future, you may cut back your spending on new software. You may cut back your spending on inventory because you're going to want to save your money for the future just in case, because there are headwinds that you don't really know what's going to happen. And then customers in turn have some of the same issues, not knowing what the tariffs are going to bring. They're not always going to spend on new vehicles because interest rates right now are still quite high. So then that leaves fewer purchases.
Well, there's a discrepancy between how retailers feel about their own businesses and the broader auto industry. What's going on there?
It's an interesting result because while dealerships are uncertain and anxious and showing lower confidence about the future of the broader industry overall, they're very resilient in their own operations. They know how to keep things going through good times and bad. So that is an encouraging thing, I think, because they see all of these things ahead, not knowing what the future is going to bring, and they're all about thinking they'll be fine. They'll make do. They'll figure out how to make decisions, even though everything else around them is uncertain. They know how to keep their businesses running.
Perfect. Mark, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
You can find all of our coverage of the Auto Industry Confidence Index at autonews.com. Coming up, we'll hear about policy goals that might help dealers feel more confident in the future. NADA Executive Vice President of Public Policy Paul Metrey joins the show next on Daily Drive.
Daily Drive listeners like you have access to the lowest price for Automotive News Congress 2025 on September 11th.
The event is where the industry's biggest players tackle its toughest challenges. Congress attendees don't just follow the industry, they lead it.
This year's featured speakers include Hyundai Motor Group Executive Chair Yu-Sung Chung, Asbury Automotive CEO David Holt, and General Motors CEO Mary Barra.
We are investing in America. We're creating jobs. That's creating IP in this country. And I think, the United States needs to lead in key technologies.
Join us to gain the insights and connections needed to steer your business through massive change.
To get the lowest price for the event, go to autonews.com/events, select Auto News Congress, and type in the discount code Daily Drive. That's one word, all caps, Daily Drive. And we'll see you on September 11th in Detroit.
Consumers have high expectations of the car buying experience. 88% of consumers said their experience matters as much as the company's products or services. And with low inventory, high prices, and high interest rates, you have the opportunity to step up and deliver a positive buying experience that helps consumers overcome their frustrations and feel good about their purchase decisions. Your DMS is a data powerhouse and must be well integrated across your dealership. DealerTrack DMS is proven to seamlessly connect your operations and reduce manual data entry by pre-filling forms so consumers spend less time at your dealership. DealerTrack DMS is also key to helping you track, optimize, and improve the performance of your entire team. With actionable data insights from streamlined reports and metrics, you can find new opportunities for growth and unlock important process and profitability improvements. Because DealerTrack is flexible and easy to use, your team spends less time rekeying data and memorizing codes and more time delivering the next level customer experience your dealership prides itself on. Bottom line, DealerTrack DMS improves workflow efficiency and puts the focus on your customers so your sales team and your entire dealership shine. See how you can unlock better experiences and improve your entire operation with DealerTrack DMS.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Kellen Walker. There's been a flurry of activity from the Trump administration this year when it comes to policies affecting the auto industry. Paul Metrey is NADA's Executive Vice President of Public Policy. He recently spoke with our own Amari Gardner about the moves and what dealers want to see from Washington going forward.
Paul, welcome to Daily Drive.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you.
Oh, it's been an incredibly busy year for the auto industry and for NADA, and with the new administration in place in the White House. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's gone on this year?
Certainly. Well, it's been super active, and really a lot of public policy accomplishments have been present in the first half of the year that we really think will benefit franchise dealers and certainly their customers. Mm-hmm. We saw it initially with the Fifth Circuit, which overturned the FTC's vehicle shopping rule, which we had all kinds of concerns with. We've seen it on the tax front more recently with the reconciliation bill. Several elements of the Big Beautiful Bill Act actually contain provisions to help small businesses. And it's something that in many cases have been made permanent. 100% bonus depreciation, the pass-through deduction at 20%, and federal, state, and gift tax relief, and many other areas. So we're super excited about that. Also, there were 3 Congressional Review Act resolutions passed by Congress and signed by the president that vacated the California heightened greenhouse gas standards that certainly were going to create quite a bit of havoc in the industry.
So certainly a lot that's happened in just a very few months. Well, I just wanted to start with, from a regulatory public affairs standpoint, what's at the top of dealers' minds right now? What are their concerns. A lot of them have been addressed through the actions that have taken place so far, but on the state and federal level. But what are some lingering things that they're discussing? What are they telling you?
Well, there are really an array of issues, a lot going on, as you pointed out. Certainly with direct sales, there's a lot of concerns about Scout, Afila. That's something that we think is unfounded and we think is not a prudent decision. We certainly hope those OEMs are going to reconsider those decisions. On the EV front, we talked about what happened with the California heightened standards. It's also being followed by 11 other states. Those have been vacated. We're in the process of helping the government defend those standards. But there's also the federal greenhouse gas standards. Those came to us in March of 2024. They also set unrealistically high standards that cannot be met. OEMs cannot get there. It's something that can create havoc in the marketplace. It's something certainly we're going to work to try to get eliminated as well.
And that affects vehicle mix and dealership lots?
Absolutely. It certainly does. And it's the type of thing where in order to meet the standards, and these are standards that would affect model year 2027 through model year 2032, OEMs have to have an increasing percentage of battery electric vehicles that are above what the market can absorb right now, what the customers are expressing a preference for, and what they can afford, and actually what they can manage based on lack of charging infrastructure.
Right.
So we do feel it's very important to try to get that at a level that reflects market realities.
Yeah. I mean, as been reported, California is roughly 20% market, but states like New York, only 10%, some even less. The regulations and the market don't seem to be quite in sync, at least at this moment in time.
Absolutely. In fact, none of the 12 states that are identified as CARB states were capable of meeting the heightened CARB standards, but even the federal EPA standards, we don't believe any of the states, to include California, can get there. Each OEM would have to have a very high percentage that certainly exceeds what's capable at the moment.
Yeah. So on the topic of EVs, right now we're in the phase-out period for the federal EV tax credits. From NADA's perspective, from the dealer's perspective, how is that impacting dealers? What is their feeling on the eventual demise of those credits?
Well, as a preliminary matter, it should be pointed out, one of the things we pushed for and we were pleased was included in the reconciliation bill was a phase-out period for EVs. Dealers have billions of dollars of inventory on their lot from EVs, and the ability to manage that inventory, particularly with affordability challenges, is key. And you need some time to be able to utilize the credits, whether it's in a leasing context or sales contracts, to try to manage that inventory. So we're very pleased that a phase-out period was provided. It goes through September 30th. Right now is a golden opportunity for dealers to try to use this time frame where these credits are available to try to go ahead and move those vehicles off their lots into the hands of consumers. After September 30th, I think we could expect to see a drop-off. However, it's unclear right now to what extent OEMs are going to try to step in where the federal government has pulled out on the EV tax credits and provide incentive money for that. We'll see how that plays out. Even though there's likely to be some type of dip, we do think that in time EVs will pick back up in terms of market share, but at nowhere near the pace that was contemplated by the government, either in California or the federal government when these standards were created.
Yeah, it certainly will be incumbent on the manufacturers themselves to release more affordable models. I know Ford recently, this week, has launched a plan to put a $30,000 electric pickup on the market, and other OEMs are also working on making affordable models, profitably. And eventually, when they reach dealers, hopefully, I'm sure they hope that those vehicles will sell for profits for themselves.
Certainly. And of course, it's worth remembering dealers have really put a lot of time and effort and money into trying to further the sale of EVs. They have purchased this inventory. They have purchased charging stations. They've engaged in training. This year, franchise dealers, their share of the market will actually exceed direct sellers in terms of the sale of EVs, the delivery of EVs. So they're doing what they can to get there, and anything that facilitates their ability to do that certainly is going to be beneficial.
Yeah. Let's talk briefly about something else that's not as immediate as the tax credits, but still something that is bound to affect the industry at some point, is the new tariffs that have been imposed by the administration. There was a belief by some that they would just be temporary, but now that they've been in place for a few months, it looks like they're going to be around for at least the longer term. At a time where affordability is a concern, to dealers and customers, how are dealers responding to the potential of price pressures? We had some prices rise, not the levels predicted necessarily, and it was early going, but in the long term, they might go up. It just remains to be seen. But how are dealers dealing with that in the meantime?
I think you laid out the two ends of this very well. At the moment, there's not been a dramatic impact that we have seen in terms of pricing. Of course, there was a pre-buy. Many consumers concerned about the effect of tariffs coming in to purchase or lease vehicles. Certainly that has been present. And OEMs have also been absorbing increased tariff prices. Now, the question is, how sustainable is that and what's going to happen down the road? Certainly, our economist thinks that the second half is going to be rougher than the first half in that regard. We can expect to see price increases. That, of course, can affect the SAR. That also can ultimately affect dealer employment. And 2026 probably promises to be more of a challenge than 2025. So up to this point, it's not been a huge factor. However, going forward, we have more concerns. Now, what we have been doing is to make sure the administration is educated about the likely impact of tariffs going forward. As it makes decisions and it negotiates these agreements with different countries and different aspects of the market, it is focused on the fact that there is going to be an effect on the ability to sell what are already vehicles at a price range that for many consumers are too high or certainly present affordability challenges. So we want to make sure that that marker is present. And we've met with the White House, we've met with many agencies to make sure that as these decisions are made, they're fully informed.
Recently, the budget bill passed recently, and it's eliminated the fuel economy penalties for 3 years, which theoretically I imagine would make it easier to have a different mix of, or a better mix of cars, one that's more market aligned on put down dealers' lots. How does that translate in the dealer world?
Well, I think the real focus that dealers and really the entire industry has at the moment has to do with the federal EPA greenhouse gas standards that we were talking about a moment ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, just to give an order of magnitude here, it's a little different on the federal side in terms of how they're regulated. You know, those 12 CARB states, you had to hit a certain percentage of battery electric vehicles every year, starting with 35% in 2026. It climbed by about 8% per year up to 100% by 2035. This is not the same scheme. This is not that dramatic, but it still is unreachable, which is a problem. One example, the first year this takes effect is model year 27. Mm-hmm. Of course, we will see those vehicles fairly soon. We're probably about a year out. And when you consider the challenges that OEMs and dealers will have, regardless of how they get there, and there's different models, the way the federal government regulates it is you have to meet certain standards regarding CO2 grams per mile. So it's not a certain percentage of battery electric vehicles, but nevertheless, to get there, a certain percentage of your fleet has to be battery electric vehicles. And the way that this was modeled by EPA when they finalized their rule in 2024, they looked at different scenarios, but for the first year of vehicles that are affected, model year 27, pretty much OEMs, regardless of what their product mix is, has to be at about 25% battery electric vehicles. They're not going to get there. Mm-hmm. If they're not there, again, it's going to create problems. You have issues of having to purchase expensive credits to try to get there. You have a situation where you're looking at potential fines. We talked about NHTSA. There's also EPA in the mix. And of course, moving forward, you always run into the risk that you have to, shrink your denominator of overall vehicles to meet what their requirements are, because they do climb every year between 2027 and 2032. So yes, there is a big concern here with regard to what EPA is doing, and it's something that we are pleased that efforts are being made to try to remove those unworkable standards, hopefully get us to a level that the market can absorb.
Okay. All right. And then just lastly, just want to kind of shift gears a little bit. We hear just constantly about AI. It's everywhere. And AI it's making its way into the automotive retail world. It certainly can be used for increasing productivity, for increasing profitability, but it also has potential to be abused. Are you seeking any guidance from the government on regulating AI? Are there other kind of regulatory policy concerns surrounding AI?
It's certainly something we'll look at. At the moment, we are trying to get as smart as possible on AI, understand what its potential is to benefit dealers, understand what some of the vulnerabilities are, what areas might need to be regulated. So right now, we are trying to get as smart as possible on kind of the four corners of the AI world, and then look to what might be necessary. So, and then we typically approach public policy issues that way. We want to understand the marketplace, understand what the situation is, and then determine if governmental activity of some sort is necessary, how is it best targeted to address the problem without having a lot of corresponding consequences that would be problematic.
Okay. Well, Paul Metrey, really appreciate you dropping by to our Detroit offices to chat for a little while. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Amari. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Thanks.
That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Mark Homer and Mary Corey for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on public policy, dealer sentiments, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. Come back tomorrow for a conversation with Maserati North America General Manager Andrea Soriani.
I think the name of the game now is to manage the uncertainty. Because, if you know what is happening, you can plan accordingly. With uncertainty, you need to be nimble and fast to react to the changes, protecting the value of the brand and your consumers.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoyed the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.